Hi.
Hi, everyone. This is Amelia and Diane from So Steady. Welcome to Template Tasting Friday. We are working on making it available so that you can see Diane Russell today, who's going to share Spin-e-fex for Template Tasting Friday. Diane, are you seeing yourself on the screen at this point?
No, I'm not. I'm going to leave and come back in. We'll
Okay.
try that. Sorry, folks. We're having tech. Everything worked perfectly a few minutes ago. Bear with us.
If any of you that are watching right now are able to confirm that you're able to see Diane in the chat, that would be excellent. Appreciate that. I'm seeing a lot of people saying hello from all over the country. Welcome, everybody. We're just waiting for Diane Russell to come back into the studio here. Here she comes.
Yay! We have liftoff.
There you are, and I'm getting you back here, Diane.
You've got one camera of mine working. We'll get the other one working in a bit.
Thanks for your patience, everyone. We're working through a little bit of technical challenge here. Diane Russell's going to be sharing Spin-e-fex designs with you guys today for Template Tasting Friday.
Can everybody see right here? Hi, Ada. How are you? There we go. Looking good on your end, Amelia?
I see you. I see a beautiful wallet, perhaps.
Beautiful. Yay. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday. Hi, Regina. It's a very special Friday because I haven't worked with Amelia in quite a while, and I am so thrilled that we are working together again. And oh
As
my
am I.
goodness, you're here from the United Kingdom, Maggie? That's awesome. London's one of my favorite places to be. Well, I'm here today with Amelia, and we are going to share my favorite templates. If you know me, if you've taken any of my classes, you know that I absolutely adore Spinifex. And we're going to go through a lot of different, I brought a ton of samples to show you. And I'm also going to do some hands-on demoing for you. And we're going to talk about all the fun stuff that you can do with the Spinifex ruler. And the first thing that I'm starting with are these cute little wallets that I made. They're cork. And this is actually, I just found out that this is going to be a class on Tuesday. I believe it's the 15th or the 18th of April with Sew for Less. And it's going to be, we're going to be doing class on the wallets. And I love these because look how tiny that Spinifex is. I hope you can all see that somewhat clearly. But it's a 2.5-inch Spinifex, and it's got 16 rotations. Now, where else can you find anything so minute that you can see such a clear, precise ruler work with? It amazes me. So these wallets I wanted to show you first off. This one here is just a half of, this was using the Spinifex #1, which is one of my favorites. And that's just using half of the design. And then on the inside, it's using the whole design. And actually, this whole design is a 1.5 inch template, and the half design is the 2.5 inch templates. And the things that I love most about Spin-e-fex are they come in so many different sizes. So not only do you get a lot of different styles of templates, but you get every template in a variety of sizes. And right now, and I'm sure Amelia will tell you more about it, right now we're running a really good special where you can buy a complete set of Spin-e-fex templates, and those are a collection of 5 different templates. They start 3.5 inch, 5.5, 7.5, 9.5, and 11.5. And we have them at a super, super deal. So if you're interested in that, they are wonderful. I found that a lot of the templates I love, when I started out with Spin-e-fex, and if you're new to Spin-e-fex, it can be overwhelming because there are so many different designs and they come in so many different sizes. And when I started, what I ended up doing was I bought a couple different sizes of one design just to see how I liked them. And then I started building off of that by incorporating more sizes. And that worked out absolutely wonderfully. But right now we're running specials for the complete sets, and I believe they're like over 20% off. So it's a really good deal. So you can get a complete 5-piece set, or you can buy them all individually. Plus, you can also get the Spin-e-fex minis. And the minis are great because they come 2 in 1 template. So you get a 1.5 inch and you get a 2.5 inch. And that's a really good bargain. And that's a really good way to also see what you're going to like. And then you can make these cool little designs. I also have a class that is cork jewelry, and it's all using the mini Spin-e-fex. Here's another design. This one, I believe, is the Spin-e-fex number 8. And again, it's a half design. And then I'm not sure what's on the inside. Okay, on the inside, I just have a little one up here that is the Spin-e-fex 5. So there's lots of different things you can do with the Spin-e-fex. And I would love to show you a lot of the different looks that you can get. And so that's why I brought a lot of samples to show you. This is a tabletop. It's just a small wall hanging or a tabletop. This was using 2 different Spin-e-fex plus the 12-inch arc. And this is using the template method, which again, if you know me, you know that I absolutely love the template method because you can get such a cool design. And basically, template method is reverse applique. So you have 4 layers that you're working through. And I'm going to show you today, in fact, how to cut through the layers. So this makes a very quick and easy gift. And people think, oh my goodness, how did she do that? Because it looks so intricate. So we're just going to go through all these different designs that I brought. Here's another one that is Spin-e-fex. And I'm cheating because on the back of all of my pieces, I have the exact information and what it took to make the block. So it will tell me how many rotations. It will tell me if I'm working in the even or the odds, which I'll explain in a little bit, and what rulers I use, if I use the pin method, and all the different things that I need to know. So I'm not as smart as I look because I don't know these by heart. I have to look at my little cheat sheets. But this is another one that is using a couple different Spin-e-fex. This one is using the Spin-e-fex 12, which is another one of my favorites. And then we have this one, which I love the look of this. This particular one is, let me get my corner here. This is the Spin-e-fex number 10. And one of the cool things about the Spin-e-fex is that you can combine the same ruler in different sizes to give you different looks. Basically, the you're unlimited to what you can do with a couple different rulers. So you don't have to start out with, a huge plethora of rulers. You could start if you're just starting and you want to experiment, start with a couple different rulers and then work your way from there. So this one is using the Spin-e-fex number 10, which is kind of an oval shape, and I love that too. You can tell these were all done with a theme, with the colors in mind. I really like batiks, and because I like the movement of them, so I tend to use a lot of batiks. And this is one that I'm going to be putting together into a 4-block wall hanging. So this particular one is, this one is Spin-e-fex number 11. And that just gives you you can get a really lacy effect with that. I really, really like that. And then all of the work that you see around the outside, that is either done with our 12-inch arc or our 4-inch arc. And the 4-inch arc comes with your sampler set. You'll always get the 4-inch arc, and I'm just trying to pull them out here for you. And the 12-inch arc, that is a standard that a really must-have ruler. So here is the 12-inch arc, and it's got this beautiful, graceful curve, and then it's got a straight edge. And I use the straight edge for everything. And all of our rulers, are all marked with etching lines, and they're all 1/4 of an inch from each other. And then I use stable tape. I really like the stable tape because it helps just grab a little better with your fabric. So I like to use stable tape with these. So you can always build out your designs as you go. So let's just go through a couple more of these, and then we're going to start sewing. Now, this particular one, I don't know if you could see how there are still crosshair lines on this one. Then we'll get down a little farther. The reason is I am not done cutting away. And until I am happy with the way I want the block to look, I do not iron down to fuse it. So you will see sometimes where I still have the light crosshair markings. So that's another one. And this one was using the Spin-e-fex 14, which is another one that I really like. I keep saying they're all my favorites, but I'll be honest with you, most of them are. This one.
Well, and they're gorgeous, Diane. I mean, look at these, you guys. That's a huge stack. And they're beautiful.
Easy to do, Amelia. Don't you find that that's what you love about the rulers? They
absolutely.
look like they're hard, but they're easy. Once you learn how to do it, they're easy. And people think that you're like amazing. They don't know that once you master these rulers, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, those are just gorgeous. And you're using template technique on all of these, it looks like, right, Diane?
Yes. And I also love to use, and hang on one second, let me grab it.
While you're grabbing that, I do want to just note vocally to share with everybody that all the Spin-e-fex templates currently are 20% off on our website. I did put a link in the chat to that product listing. And I also just want to note that please do put a comment in the chat. And then for those of you watching via Facebook or YouTube, you can share or like. And that way you guys will all be entered into the drawing for the giveaways that we're going to do today. And I'll be pulling the first winner here in a little bit. But I do want to note we're going to give away your Starlight Starbright class, Diane, via So Steady University. So I want you to speak to that here. And then we're also going to give away the Crosshair Square Design book because I know you've been
Oh,
using that Crosshair to create some of these designs. So be sure to like, comment, or share so that you guys can be entered into our drawing for today. And I'll let you get back to it, Diane. I don't want to disrupt your live here too
no.
much.
Chime right in, please. Those are two
Okay.
great giveaways. And I, at the risk of showing you my messy studio, I am going to turn my camera so that you can see the Starlight Starbright. Bear with me because I don't always do this as well as I should. And I'm not really great at the camera, but I'll do my best. Oh, and everything just went flying. Okay, so that 4-block wall hanging is Starlight Starbright. And that is created using all the Spin-e-fex, and it's created using the 12-inch arc and the 4-inch arc. And all I did to get the two different looks was reverse my top fabric and my peekaboo fabric. And I'll explain
That is
that in a second.
gorgeous.
It's one of my favorites, and it hangs in this room, and I absolutely love it. And it's something that is easy to do, especially if you win the class. That is fantastic. So let me turn the camera back without breaking anything else, and I'll show you. Okay, get it down a little. Yeah, you can tell that technology is not my thing. All right, so with the Starlight Starbright and with any of the template designs, what you're doing is you're working with 4 different layers. So you're working with your backing fabric, you're working with your batting, you're working with what I call the peekaboo fabric, and we call it the peeker fabric as well. And that's the fabric that's going to come through from your after your top layer. And your top layer on this particular one is this really pretty like marble fabric. And so you're working with those 4 fabrics. And to get the look of the Starlight Starbright, basically all you're doing is swapping out your top fabric for your second fabric. So on 2 of the blocks, I use my batik as the top fabric, and my white is the peekaboo. And then on 2 of the blocks, I use my white fabric as the top, and my green fabric is the peekaboo. So that's all you're doing to get that look. And it's really easy to do. I'm telling you, once you learn how to do this, you are just going to fall in love with the Spin-e-fex rulers. So let me show you a few more. I feel like Eleanor Burns because right now I'm just throwing everything we're not using right on the floor. So this is another one this is a 3-block wall hanging that I did. It started out, I was going to do it as a table runner, and then I decided I didn't want anything, I didn't want it on the table. It was just too pretty. So this is another one that is using all the different Spin-e-fex rulers. And you can also, you don't have to just do table runners. You can also do, this is one I did last summer that is a tote bag. And I happen to love lemons. I am a lemon freak. So I did a tote bag with just strips, a jelly roll of lemon fabric, and put it all together. And the class, I think, is on university still. And then I used my Spin-e-fex to just do different designs. So I've got this big design here, and then flip it over, and there's a totally different design on the back. And it's just another way to use the Spin-e-fex and not feel like it has to be a table runner or it has to be a wall hanging. There's so many things you can make. You can make garments, you can make tote bags, you can make purses. The sky is just the limit. So just have fun with it. But so that's another one of the samples that I wanted to show you. Now we're going to do a little hands-on sewing, but first I'm going to show you something that what you can also do, and I like to call it spinning mashup. I was doing a lot with the Spin-e-fex rulers, and one day I had an aha moment, and it was, I wonder what would happen if I combined two or three different rulers in the same design. And that was the birth of my class called Spinning Mashup. Because what I do is I take different rulers and I combine them in different sizes to make all sorts of different designs. And the best part about doing that is you can do it first and foremost right on your design pad. You don't even have to do it on fabric first. Because when I started out, I would do a design on fabric and then I'd look at it and I'd be like, yeah, that didn't work out so much. I'm not crazy about that. Well, then, So Steady came out with the design pads, and I use these for everything. This is a fairly new one, um, but just to show you that you can do different designs, you can do pin placement. It's all graphed, plus it has a section where you can write all of your directions. Um, Up here in the corner. I tend to be a scribbler, so I'll scribble all over it. But this was a design that I started working on the other day for a class that's coming up using the honeycomb. And I just started playing with the honeycomb template, and then I started playing with color placement. So there's a lot that you can do with Design Pad, and you can work out things in advance before you put your thread to your fabric. Because let's face it, fabric has gotten ridiculously expensive. And you don't want to waste your fabric, especially when you have fabric that is absolutely gorgeous. Do we all have that fabric where we look at it and go, oh, that's too pretty to use? I'm sure I'm not the only one that does that. But I do have certain fabrics that it's like, oh, I'm afraid to cut into it because it's just too pretty. So being able to do things on the design pad, you won't waste any of your fabric. So I'll show you a couple more things and then we're going to start sewing. So these are some of the designs that I have stitched out, and I usually try and put a note like I showed you on the back. Well, guess what? I have some that I totally forgot to do that. And if you think you're going to remember to go back and you'll know exactly what rulers you used in what position, you must have a much better memory than I do because I never remember. So some of them are just a happy surprise, as Bob Ross would say. This one, I want to show you these two because this is using the Spin-e-fex and the arc. Okay, see how different these two blocks look? Well, guess what? These blocks are the same identical block, only with Template, you can cut it out in different areas to get a totally different look. So these blocks were done with the Spin-e-fex number 8 and the Spin-e-fex number 10, which we're going to be using today. And they were done the same rotations, the same placement, everything. But they look totally different according to where you cut them out. And obviously one has the batik fabric on top and the other one has the white fabric on top. So you can get all sorts of different looks, and it's a lot of fun to do that. So we're going to go on to sewing. I want to show you one more thing. This is one of the pieces that I started, and I know I wrote it down somewhere, but I cannot for the life of me find where I wrote down what rulers I used. I know that this gentle oval That is a Spin-e-fex number 2. No, I'm sorry, that's a Spin-e-fex number 10. So this one I'm still trying to recreate, but I'm just in the process of cutting this out. This is what I do at night when I sit and I'm watching TV. I will sit and I will cut everything out. So if you find that you like to do template and you can do it so beautifully with the Spin-e-fex, I have a little jar that sits by my couch, and it's got the duckbills. I have 4-inch duckbills, and I also have the full 8-inch duckbills. And then it's got different things that I may need. It's got straight edge. It's got little sticky notes if I need those. It's got a glue pen, which I'll show you how to work later. So I just keep this. This sits right on my end table. And this is what I do at night when I don't want to sew, but I still want to be doing something fun. So we're going to try and switch this camera around, Amelia, and I'm not quite sure how it's going to work. So bear with me.
And while you're doing that, there are a few questions here, Diane.
Oh, great.
And so let's see. So Sharon said, did you say fun foam? What kind of foam were you using, and maybe some of the samples you showed, possibly your bag?
The bag, I use I'm sorry, I'm losing my words. My bags, I always use, I don't use the foam. I do have the foam, but I've never tried it yet. What I use for the bags is I use the fusible flutes. I like using
Oh, yeah, that's
fusible
nice.
flutes. Yeah. I love those for bags, for zipped pouches. I even use them on some of the bigger wall hangings because you fuse one side to your fabric or to your batting, and it just makes life easier. But yeah, I do have the foam. I just haven't tried it yet. So if anybody has, any suggestions on that, let me know. Oh, and I see Becky's also got the same kind of jar I do with all of her notions in it as well. Any other questions?
Let's see. Stephanie asked if you've tried using the paper that you peel off the template fuse, and I suspect she means for design purposes, like sketching on.
No, but
Unsure,
that's a great
Stephanie.
idea. That's a really good idea, Stephanie. I don't, simply because I use the design sketchbook, but I'll be honest with you, with the design sketchbook, I use both sides of it. So I will do my designing, and then when my pad gets full, I'll flip it around and I'll use the back side of it as well. But that's a great idea. I'm going to start keeping the paper that comes with the template fuse and use that as well. That's a really good idea. Thank you for that.
And then Michelle is wondering, which set do you suggest to start with for the Spin-e-fex?
I have a couple favorites. I love, and I'll show you a couple of the different ones. I love the Spin-e-fex number 1, and the reason I love it is because, and I'm just going to get a piece of black paper so you can see these better. I love this shape. It's just a plain oval, but it is absolutely beautiful. And as you can see, this design here is used with the Spin-e-fex number 1. And this design here is used with Spin-e-fex number 1. I just really like the look of the oval. And if you get the complete set, it'll come in the 5 different sizes, and you can combine the different sizes together to make even more designs. The other one that I absolutely love is the Spin-e-fex number 8. And the reason I love number 8 is because you have 2 different designs. So you have one design that comes up and is pointy, but then if you flip this around, you have a totally another look. So this is really giving you a bang for your buck because you're getting two different looks. And I'm going to try, and I don't know how well you can see this, but one is very pointy and the other one is more rounded. So you're going to get two different looks with the Spin-e-fex number 8. And I have used them where I have switched them around in the same design and they really come out great. So those two are favorites. I also love the number 10, which is more of a football. And I guess that, well, I must get that because I come from a family of boys and football is everything. So that's where my mind goes. But number 10 is just this really cool football shape. And if you start combining those with some of the pointy ones, you're going to get some really cool designs. So maybe you could start out with something that's pointy and something that's more rounded, and you'll get different looks with it.
All right, those are great. I think it's a good time to do our first giveaway. What do you think, Diane?
Love it. What do you got in mind?
All right, so the first giveaway that we're going to do today, you guys, is Diane's Starlight Starbright class on So Steady University. So we will be, bear with me here. There we go. What we'll do is we'll just have the lucky winners email us so that we have your email address and be able to provide you the access to that class on So Steady University. I'll also post a link to the class listing in the chat so that you guys can go take a look at it. And I actually don't have the fancy giveaway tool that Stacy usually uses. So we have pulled a name at random, a little different approach here. And so I want to congratulate Mo Geese. Mo, you are the winner of Diane Russell's Starlight Starbright class on So Steady University. So Mo, please do send us an email to info@sosteady.com. I'll put this in the chat as well with your contacts so that we can provide you the access to that great class that she has. And then everybody else, we will be doing another giveaway close to 2 o'clock before we're done with the live today. So please do continue to like, comment, or share. Give us questions. I'll share those with Diane. And Diane's going to show you some techniques.
Yep, I'm just trying to flip my camera. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go to my sewing machine. Give me a minute just to get this adjusted so that I'm not going to make you all dizzy. And hang on one second, I'm going to make the light a little bit brighter. Okay, so what we're going to do for this design is we are going to do, in one of my classes that I do, it's the spinning mashup. This is design number 1. And basically what this is we're going to use 2 different rulers. And bear with me a second because my notes have disappeared. Oh, here we go. Okay, so for this one, we are going to use the Spin-e-fex. We're going to use 2 of my favorites. And we're going to use the Spin-e-fex. I'm sorry, bear with me a second. While we were talking, half the stuff went flying on my floor. And that was one of the things that went flying. Okay, so we are going to use the Spin-e-fex number 8, which is the one that I told you I really liked. And that is this one. And then we are also going to use the Spin-e-fex number 10, which is the football shape. So let's do let's do this. Okay, so is that bright enough for everybody? Because we have a problem with my lighting that sometimes I have a Bernina and sometimes it's just too bright as far as the camera goes and the light. So I'm just going to, yep, that's too bright. So hang on one second. I apologize, but I want you to be able to see well. Okay, so that should be a little bit better. All right, what we did with this is,
It's still pretty bright, Diane. Are you able to
is
bring it
oh,
down
that is
more?
bright. Yeah, thank you, Amelia. Hang
Sure.
on one
Actually,
sec.
before the light was on, it was pretty good. I don't know if you
Perfect.
can sew in the dark.
That's pretty much what it is, too. Yeah, I can do that. Hang on one sec. Okay, turn it off. There, that should be good. And I'm just going to move this little one around so that I can see. All right, so what I did with this was I started with the 8-point crosshair ruler. I did 16 rotations of the ruler and I have numbered them. Let me first off cut off thread. Boy, it really is like sewing in the dark. Okay, so I have 16 rotations and I've also marked each rotation. I've marked one all the way around to 16 because we're going to be sewing on the evens and the odds. And so we'll start out sewing at 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. And then we'll go back and use a different design and we'll do 2, 4, 6, 8. So this is what the design is going to end up looking like. We're going to bring the needle up at the center. Now, I'm known for keeping a lot of notes because I like to check twice. My dad always taught me measure twice, cut once. And so that is something that I always am very careful about checking. So we're going to start out with the Spin-e-fex and we're going to use the 9.5 for this one. The only reason I'm using the smaller one and not the 11.5 is because you'll be able to see better. So I'm going to drop my needle right in the center of my crosshair. I'm going to pull up my thread. Remember, you always want to pull up your bobbin thread. You never want to just leave it because you will get some kind of a bird's nest underneath. So sometimes it comes up when you want it to, and other times it doesn't. Bear with me a sec. Also, you always want to start with a clean machine. I used to sell Berninas, and that was the one thing that was instilled in me. You always started with a clean machine. So my machine was oiled and cleaned this morning, and the bobbin thread is not coming up. So I'm going to go under and just pull out my bobbin. Now, I just switched out my glider mat. I did have on the Clear Advantage glider mat, which I absolutely love, and I miss it at this minute because I can't see through the table. So if you have the Clear Advantage glider mat, by all means put that on. I'll be putting mine back on. And because right now I'm doing this all blind, but I've been sewing for so many years that that's usually not a problem. I've been sewing, I figured it out. My son's going to be 33, and I started sewing just before he was born. So we're going to bring this up, and you'll see how quickly this goes. Drop your needle down. There, bobbin thread came right up that time. So you're going to pull it up, drop it back down. I'm going to do this sideways so that you can get a better view. And you're just going to start, I'm going to start sewing on rotation number 9. So for this particular one, we're just going to go on the odd numbers. Bear with me while I try and get this so that you have a good bird's eye view. And I'll rearrange it in a sec. And then you're going to go back up to the center. I'm just going to turn this and get rid of these threads. You could bury your threads if you prefer. I just prefer to cut them off myself. So that was on the odd, number 9. Now I'm going to go to number 11. Hug your ruler. That's the most important thing you have to remember. Just hug the side of your ruler. I use stable tape to help me stabilize everything. And I'm just going to go around. It goes a lot faster when you're not talking and when you don't have a camera right in front of what you're doing. But you're just going to go around. I could have used a pin placement if I wanted to make the design look even more different. So that's the thing I love about Spin-e-fex, because there are so many different looks that you can get from just a couple different rulers. And you can use your pin. You don't have to use your pin. It just goes very, very quickly. And I'm sewing with, I actually have a medium speed on my foot control. And right now I've got pedal to the metal right now on my foot control. But because I have the medium speed set on my machine, it will only go so fast. See how fast this is going? This is going to be 8 rotations, and then we're going to switch out, and we're going to go to the different ruler. So one more to go. The other thing you want to make sure that you are going to do is before you take your ruler out, you want to go around and make sure that you've hit all the crosshairs, because sometimes that can happen where you forget. So what I do is I look at it like this and I count them. Skip, go, skip, go, skip, go, skip, go. There we go. We're all set with that. So I'm just going to take that out with my key placement, which is another brilliant thing, because now we don't have to break that central thread, which is going to make life a lot easier. So we're going to take this, we're going to put this aside, and now we're going to grab the next ruler. And if you had made notes on your design pad, you would know exactly what ruler and what rotation to use. So now we're going to go to Spin-e-fex number 10, which is my football shape. And I'm laughing, thinking to myself, my dad would be so proud because I couldn't catch a football to save my life. But this is one of my favorite rulers because it's a football shape. An ode to Dad. All right, so now we have that in place, and we are going to do our evens. So we're going to start now. This one, I'm going to flip it this way, and I don't have to grab anything. The one thing I'm going to do is I am going to mark the grid lines so that I can follow those with my crosshairs. And you can use a dry erase marker. Don't use anything else, just a dry erase marker, and you can mark right on the acrylic template. So for some reason, all right, so let's see how this is going to go. And I'll adjust the camera accordingly in a sec. Okay, we're going to put this down just a little bit. We're going to go, you can see how fast you can go and how fast this will go together for you using your Spin-e-fex. Amelia, do we have any other questions while I do my 8 rotations? Does anybody have Spin-e-fex that they already are in love with and like to use? Let us know. Share in those comments because everybody benefits when we share in the comments.
We do
So
have a
this,
question, Diane. Valerie's asking what size for number 10 are you using?
for the number 10, I am using the 7.5 inch. And then I think we're going to go back and use one of the smaller 10s as well, depending on how this looks. Because we're almost done. I've only got 2 more rotations. Make sure too that you're using a good quality thread and a good quality needle. I like to use the top stitching needle because it a 9014 because the hole's just a little bit bigger and you're putting a lot of thread through that hole. And make sure you use a good quality thread. I use 43 ply. I also have used 30, which I like because it's a little bit of a thicker thread. As your numbers go down, your thread thickness goes up. Okay, so let's look and see, do we have all of our points? Make sure we do, and yes, we do. So we're going to take this out, and before we break the thread, I think maybe we'll just add another design element to this, just because we can. We can add another ruler. So, now here's another thing. When you have the little keys, on the bottom of the key, it will tell you which Spin-e-fex ruler it is and what the size is. That is very important if you're like me and you drop them under your sewing table and then you find them days later and you're like, I have no idea what that's for. So that's really nice because you will always have that. So this is the design that it's made. And I like it, but I think it needs a little something else. And I think what it needs is a larger design. So I think we're going to stick with the number 8 and we're going to go to the 11.5 and we're going to see how that looks. And this is when I like to just play. The other thing is when you have fabric, cut it up, cut your batting up, or you can order the pre-cut fabric and batting from So Steady, and you can have it at your fingertips anytime that you want to just sit down and sew. It makes life so much easier. Okay, so we're going to use, this is the Spin-e-fex number 8, but this is the 11.5 inch, and we're going to put that in. And I haven't decided yet if we're going to do it on the evens or the odds. Now, if you remember, we did the odds with this point pointing up. How about if we turn this around so that the ruler is in the opposite direction and we do the next design on the evens, so it's going to be where the football shape is. Let's try that and see what it looks like. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I love to experiment. So let's see. Let's take a look. We'll see what it comes out to look like.
And in a way, Diane, you're answering Lori's question, which is a great question. Lori's asking, is there a rule for which direction you sew?
No, it's whatever feels comfortable. And sometimes I sew side to side. Other times I sew vertically. It is whatever is comfortable for you. And also use your templates that have a different angle on each side of the ruler. Use those to your advantage because that gives you one more way. Like this is just working, Lori, so much easier for me to sew up and down than it is to go side to side. And you always want to go so that you have an even, consistent stitch length. And that just comes with a little bit of practice. I am really liking the way this is coming out. So this, again, was using the Spin-e-fex number 8, which is one of my favorites, and that's one of the ones I have in my, I have a set of, but using it in the opposite direction. Instead of having it, and we'll take that right out, instead of having it where the writing is up here at the top, we have it so that the writing is, the top of it is actually in the center. Let's see. We're almost done with this. It goes really fast. I could just sit and do this all day, I'll be honest with you. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning just so I can sew for a while before my day actually begins. And this weekend is my birthday, and I decided that tomorrow and most of Sunday, I want to stay home and I want to sew. So that's what I plan on doing. And I've got a whole bunch of rulers lined up that I'm going to be using, and I'm just so excited about it. So do what you love and love what you do. Let's take this out. Actually, you know what? We're going to break the thread because this, I'm calling this done. And if I can, well, I don't know if I'll be able to switch the cameras around again, but I really like the way that this came out. And that was using just 2 Spin-e-fex, but using the different angles of it, the top and the bottom. So that was another one, another fun one, and I'm going to have to write that down. And this is before we decided to go off the grid. This is what we started out doing. And this was just using the Spin-e-fex number 8 and the Spin-e-fex number 1, but in the 3.5 inch size for number 1. And then this was the 7.5 inch for the number 8. And that's a really cool design. That would be the perfect design to put on a bag. So what do you think? Do you like Spin-e-fex now, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, thank you, Becky. It's going to be a fun birthday. I get to sew in my pajamas. Can't get any better than that.
They are loving this Spin-e-fex, Diane. There's a lot of comments noting their favorite designs, and you know, when you were showing your samples in the beginning of the live today, people were just really loving your different designs with the template technique. So I feel like perhaps now is a good time to do our last giveaway. Are you ready for that, Diane?
Yes, I love giveaways.
Okay, so I decided to kind of change it up. I know at the beginning I mentioned a crosshair book, but I think because you were showing your design pad, we're going to give away the design pad. So give me just a moment here.
Oh,
okay. Congratulations to Kay Butterbaugh. You are the winner of the design pad. I will post it here in the chat so that you can send us your contact, and we'll get one of those out to you here. And I'll also link in the chat the product listing on the website so that you guys can go take a look at the design pad. There's a couple of options of including stitching line discs and design pins with it. So a couple of nice options there for you guys to consider when ordering. All right, and congratulations again to Kay Butterbaugh, and I will make a note here in the chat shortly for you.
Congratulations, Kay. That's wonderful. You're going to love it. And you can use both sides of it. So it's like double the gift. Well, I hope you have all enjoyed this. Make sure that you go into our university. We have got phenomenal educators and phenomenal classes. And there's a good sprinkling of classes that are free so that you can try them out and see how you like them. And just remember to have fun. And the sky is the limit. Play, play, play.
Thank you, Diane. Could you take a moment to just kind of circle back to the beginning and show your stack of different designs while we
Oh, I would
finish up the
love
live?
to.
We have about 5
Yep.
minutes, and I think folks would love to see those samples again that may have missed it at the beginning.
And now that I've figured out how to switch my camera around, I can do that. There we go. Okay. Hang on one sec. Let me get my mess out of the way. Okay. So we have these beautiful, let's move this down a little. So that is just using 2 Spin-e-fex. That is using the number 8 and the number 10. Do you see a recurring theme here? I happen to love those 2. This is just, again, these are 3. This is using the number 10, the number 1, and the number 8, but in the reverse order. And then we have some template thrown in for the fun of it. And this is the one that I was telling you. These are 2, the same exact design, but it depends on where you cut them out as to what your design is going to look like. And this particular one is, I used the rulers on this was an 8 and a 10. Big surprise, right, guys? You're seeing which ones are my favorites now. So we have those, and then this one we branched out a little bigger, so I used 11.5-inch rulers, the Spin-e-fex for these. And this one I didn't break down, so I can tell by looking at it that it is a number 2 and a number 10. And I'm not sure what the third one is. And then we have this one, which is, this isn't one of my favorites, I'm going to be honest with you, but this one works up beautifully when you add it with the template because you have all these little intricate spots that you can cut out. And so it really works up beautifully with that. And then we have some of the wall hangings that I did. We have tote bags that I love. In fact, this tote bag with the lemons has to go to my niece because she saw it and she fell in love with it. And then we have a lot of template, but you can see how every one looks a little bit different because of the Spin-e-fex and the versatility that you will find with the Spin-e-fex rulers. You're going to love them. If you haven't tried them, then just get a couple and try them. If you have tried them and you love them, take advantage of the sales that they're running right now because they are great prices. In fact, I got my list together of what rulers I need to still get from the Spin-e-fex line. And then if you want to go really small, we have, this is a cork wallet that is going to be a class, and you'll have to look, it's on a Tuesday, mid-April, and it's with Sew for Less, Mike at Sew for Less. So this class will be, it starts at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and I'll be teaching that class. And this is using the little mini Spin-e-fex, and you can just make really cool gifts. And we've got a couple more.
I did just share the links for the mini Spin-e-fex set there in the chat because I know somebody earlier was saying that they wanted to have some smaller designs. So that would be a great option. Yep, Becky says she needs to get the minis.
And you know, the best thing about the minis, Becky, is that they come in, you can also buy them in sets of 3 or 4 different in one set. And that's how I ended up getting them. Are those on sale as well, Amelia? the minis?
The minis actually are not part of the sale. It's
Okay.
all of the bigger standard sizes.
But the minis are a great bargain and you get a lot of bang for your buck, especially if you buy them in sets. So they're
Mhm.
definitely well worth their weight. And I make jewelry with them too. So you're not just limited to garments or quilts. You can do jewelry, you can do, purses, you can do anything.
And there are 4 different sets of mini Spin-e-fex designs, you guys, so you can really kind of pick and choose from some of your favorite designs there. Excellent. All right. Does anybody have any final questions before we're done today? We made it to 2 o'clock, so um,
Oh,
let's
that's
see.
oh, it's
Tam
five
says
o'clock here.
jewelry. Yeah, just imagine all the possibilities that you can do. You can make little earrings. You could do, I don't know if anybody ever uses Solvay, but you can literally just sew these designs on Solvay. That's a wash away ground that you can stitch on and essentially make lace or make just free standalone Spinifex designs, your stitches would hold together from that solvy, and then you could make earrings with it. I mean, I'm a creative like Diane, so
Oh,
my ideas are just popping.
I'm not going to sleep tonight thinking of doing salvia with jewelry. Oh my goodness, what a great idea, Amelia. Thank
Well,
you.
you show me what turns out, and maybe we can turn it into a class later,
Oh, I would
Diane.
love that. Becky, I think there might be a class on university, but I'll have to go back and look. But I'm pretty sure my jewelry class is on university, and I use cork, but now I'm going to be using Solvay. So that's a great idea.
I'm taking a look really quick here.
Perfect. Donna, Solvay with the minis. That's perfect. I love how we are such a good community that we share and we feed off of each other's ideas. That's what first drew me to quilting 30 some years ago. And it's just the same today as it was then.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So we absolutely have the spinning cork jewelry class on university. I'll post a link here in the chat.
Yeah, I know all my jewelry from that class is out in my garage. My son came home a few weeks ago and we cleaned out my garage, which was about 30 years worth of stuff. And he's not a saver like I am. So a lot went, but a lot got organized. And now at least I have all my class stuff is all in order. It's great.
Oh,
So
these are beautiful. What fun. I love those earrings. Um, all right. I really appreciate all of you guys joining us today. Thank you so much, Diane, for all that you shared. Really beautiful work. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Congratulations again to our lucky winners, Mo Geese and Kay Butterbow. We'll be looking for those emails to come into info@sosteady.com so that we can get you access to your winning items. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a
thank
great weekend,
you.
everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye.